Ganana tva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavin Kavinamupamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatana Shrunvannutibhisida Sadanam Om Sri Mahaganadhipataye Namaha Prano Devi Saraswati Vaje Vajini Ivati Dhinama Vitriyavatu Om Shri Vagdevyai Namaha Vande Guru Padadvanvam Avang Manasagocharam Rakta Shukla Prabha Mishra Traipuram Maha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Okay, so what I realized, I asked this morning Sushmaji, and thank you for guiding me to Siddhaha. Then I realized we did already have a conversation about Nyagrodho Dumbaro Shvattashanurandra Nishudanaha. So we talked about the trees. I remember that. So does everybody recollect that conversation? So can we start?
Yes, Sriji, you did talk about the Shuddha and the Udumbara Vriksha.
Yeah, so that's what I recollect. We had the conversation. So we'll start from Shloka 18:9. Sahasracha Saptajihva. Okay. So notice that whenever you see any line that has the same letter repeating multiple times, or the namas are repeating with the same letter, like this one, the first line, Sahasrachish Saptajihva Saptaidha Saptavahanaha, there has to be some prominence to it. Just notice that part. And we do also know from a chanting nuances perspective that when you have sas and you have visargas, then you know that the emphatic, the sa has to repeat multiple times, or it has to be emphasized for the next word. So Sahasrachihi is the first nama, Saptajihvaha, Saptaidha, Saptavahanaha. So there are 4 namas and each nama ends with a visarga. So the next nama starts with a sa. So we have to pronounce 2 sas to go into the next one. The next one, Amurtiranagho Chintyo Bhayakrit Bhayanasanaha. So in that, Amurti, Anaghaha, Achintyaha, Bhayakrit, Bhayanasanaha. So there are 5 namas in the second line. Anybody who is taking note of Go ahead, Anita.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at my note. We talked Siddhaha and all that combined together, but I don't remember. I don't have anything written down for the other namas. I don't know if anybody else did.
Yeah, same here too.
Actually, yeah.
It's the whole sloka, but I don't think you.
We did till Siddha because you combined Siddhaha with the previous nama.
Siddhaha is last nama for.
Okay, so we'll repeat. So I recollect a conversation. So I don't know where we had that conversation. Udumbaraha, and we were talking about what do we call that in Telugu? And we were just having that. Those are trees. Ashwattaha, Nyagrodha, Udumbaraha are trees. And I remember that conversation. And I remember, Anitaji, you gave me the Telugu name for it.
I also have only up to Siddha.
Okay, so we'll go back a little bit and do the Siddhaha. Okay. So Shatrutapanaha. So we'll probably just chant the shloka, and we would have already done the chanting nuances. We'll just chant and we'll move to the nama. Does anybody want to chant this instead of me chanting it?
I can.
Please go ahead, Bhavani.
Sulabha subrata siddha shatrujit chatruchapanaha nyagrodho dumbaro shvathaschanurantra nishudanaha.
Awesome. Very well done.
Thank you.
Well. Okay, so Siddhaha, we said, is the perfect. His perfection does not depend on others. So the way Shankaracharya describes it, Ananyadhina siddhitvat siddhaha. So Ananyadhina. So in order for us to become siddhas, our gurus need to help us. And there are various kinds of siddhas. So my notes actually has lots. So I'm trying to finish. I promised to finish these both the sahasrams before December. So let me try to just speeden it up. So I'm not going to go into details, but there are various kinds of siddhas. So people who have attained yoga sadhana through hatha yoga, there have become like, many siddhas, and there are, with the Ashta Siddhis that we have talked about in Lalita Sahasranam, like Anima Siddhi, Lagima Siddhi, etc. Apart from these Ashta main Siddhis, there are 10 or 15 other minor Siddhis, including Anurmimatva Siddhi is one thing that is very interesting that, people like me try to aim for, that are hungry all the time. So I'm joking, but what they do is Anurmimatva Siddhi, for example, it avoids people to feel hunger and thirst. So they can avoid getting up in the middle of sadhana to have food or to have water. And because of having food and water, they have to go do like, all the natural bioprocesses. So to avoid that time and to just to focus, be able to focus, and you don't hear these like, churning sounds in your stomach, etc., etc. So that's called as the Anurmimatva Siddhi. So what gurus teach is to attain these siddhis. They're not to save, somebody joked in my class, like, to save, that'd be very nice. I know we don't have to go grocery shopping and clean dishes, etc. Yeah, that'll be fun. But jokes apart, the more important things is how do we sit and focus and be able to do a certain task. And the sadhana is not easy. As Swami Paramarthananda ji always says, be able to sit without doing anything is the most difficult task. You can be tired by doing a lot of things, but just sit in a corner and do nothing and try to see how long you can sit there. And he says, like, people start from being there, like, 1 minute, 2 minutes, and they start feeling, the FOMO already. Then what's happening? So I have not done this, or their mind is traveling, even if they are sitting down, and they have this checklist. As soon as they get out of that place, they have to start doing these, this is the checklist of things to do. So siddhi is the word that actually you have a certain siddhi, like, there is the mantra siddhi, that's different. So there are many kinds of siddhas. Sorry, I'm not already getting into that point. So people who have attained mantra siddhi is also called as the siddha. Sorry, there are many who have not muted, so I'm going to mute everybody. And then there is the yoga siddhas who have attained through hatha yoga practices. They can just sit in one asana. There has been like, one picture I usually use as my DP, and I've been very impressed with it. I do some yoga, but not to that extent. I'll share it in the forum. So I've been very impressed with something like that. So they usually do a sarvangasana or a, asana where the feet are facing upwards and the hands are also facing upwards. So they say, okay, I'm digressing. The only areas in our body that doesn't have hair follicles are palms and feet. So without any interruption, the travel of energy can happen through these areas a lot more efficiently than through any other part of our body. So the reason why many of these asanas, like, we do usually use Sukhasana in India, we just are so used to it, even for sitting. So that is okay, very good. At least, no, you're not sitting on the chair. But Padmasana or many other, the Shirsasana or the Sarvangasana, where the feet and palms are facing upwards to get the energy, for the cosmic energy into our cells. So people who can sit in a particular asana, even like the Siddhasana, for example, that is doing something different than what I was just explaining, where it is actually holding, like, closing your Muladhara and touching the Swadhisthana, etc. So that sort of stuff. But whatever asana, that asana siddhi some people would have attained, so they can sit in that asana. It is not about just the mean, it's only a means, it's not the goal to sit in a particular asana. So being in that asana and being able to focus your mind, and in order to be in that asana perfectly for that long, you really need to bring all your senses, like, you need your shama, dama, uparati, titiksha, etc. And then just bring everything together and become that siddha. So whenever we say like Bhagavan is siddha, yes, he is a siddha. We don't have any doubts about that. But we also need to know, and he, as Shankaracharya explains, ananyadhina. So he is not dependent on anybody else to become siddha, but we are dependent on him and the gurus that come to us to help us get to that point. So he is siddha, and he is going to bestow us. He'll bless us to be a siddha, or he'll give us the siddhi, whatever siddhi we are trying to achieve. So that's about siddha. So we'll move to the next nama, Shatrujit, conqueror of foes. So the foes are those who are inimical to gods, is what this English explanation is in Ananta Krishna Shastri Ji's translation. But there are foes, internal, external. We've always mentioned that the Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika, Adi Adhyatmika. There are many factors that affect who we are, what we are doing on a certain day versus some other day. It changes minute by minute. Many people, even in my discussions with my cousins or my peer group, they always say like, oh, there's nothing in our hands. It's always like, what Bhagavan decides. And for some reason, I either debate with them, or sometimes I'm just quietly thinking in my head, sure, but that is only like, 5% of the factor. If we don't help ourselves, Bhagavan is not going to help us. So what are we sincerely trying to do in order to get there? So Shatru Tapanaha, we need to try to figure out how to destroy our own foes before we can actually help or ask Bhagavan for help. So Shatrujit, Shatru Tapanaha, similar namas, tormentor of the foes. Tapanam means to torment. So as Shankaracharya always says, like, how do you burn your karmas? How do you get to that point of being able to focus on Bhagavan? It is not an easy task because you don't tend to see returns immediately. So people, in the families can start making fun on, oh, you're sitting there, you're just trying to do something, like, what magical powers have. Recently my husband was joking on me. He said, like, I'm just he's a, he does a lot of comedy to make me laugh. So he was just trying to tap me, and I was like, what's going on? He said, I'm just thinking, like, are you levitating yet, or are you yet to do it? So people do make fun. It is not easy to say, like, I don't intend to levitate, nor anybody probably. I've not even seen anybody who does do that. But how do you sit and know and have that connection with him? And that connection is what draws you towards something like this. And that requires a lot of effort. We've all learned Shatpadi Stotram. Where Shankaracharya helps us ask for Shama, Dhamma, etc. In order to get to that point of Siddhi. In order to get to that Siddhi, you need to achieve these things, and then we will go to that point. So I hope that makes sense. Everybody is able to recollect what we talked about. Okay, moving to the next line. Nyagrodhaha. So he who is above all. Okay. So Nyagrodha as a tree is banyan tree. And banyan tree is known to be the largest tree, and the roots coming down versus going up. So and he who controlling all beings veils himself by Maya is the second or the third meaning. So three meanings in all. He who is above all, and then a banyan tree, and he who controlling all beings veils himself by Maya. Has to remind us the Bhagavad Gita shloka, Yantra Rudhani Mayaya. So he is the one who veils us in Maya. He is the one who can unveil that Maya for us and show us knowledge. Udumbaraha. So Udumbara is also a tree. It's the fig tree, transcending the ether as its cause. He that nourishes the universe in the shape of food, etc. So Udumbara means the food. the food, and Udumbara also is a tree. Next nama Ashvattha. This is the fig, holy fig. This is in Telugu we call this the Ravi Chettu. So I don't know what it is called. It's like, when we see Vatapatra Sai photo of Krishna, there is a leaf on which the Bhagavan is sleeping, like, a small baby Krishna is sleeping. That leaf it belongs to that Ashvattha tree.
Is
So,
it people tree?
people tree, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the people tree. So Ashvattha Vriksham, we have a few trees that we pray to. We pray to any Vriksham for that matter, but there are certain trees that are more prominent. Even Shemi Vriksham. So there is even a shloka for it that we, in our childhood we used to chant during Dasara days. Shemi Shamayate Papam. Does anybody know that shloka? Shemi Shatra Vinashanam. Arjunasya Dhanuttari Ramasya Priya Darshanam. So anyways, there are some trees that are more prominent. So there are 4 trees that are listed in Vishnu Sahasranamam. Of course, when it comes to Tulasi, we say it's a Sashya, it's not a Vriksham, but there are these Vrikshas that are Bhagavan Swarupa. Moving to the next nama, Chanurandra Nishudhanaha. So Chanura and so this is, I thought we discussed all of this. Anyway, the slayer of an asura by the name
That is what I
Chanura.
was thinking. We have gone through all these
I
things and
know.
like, I don't know.
Remember, like we were even
Talking
discussing,
about
like,
the people tree, fig tree, everything we did. I'm
we
not
did.
sure. Like,
That's what I recollect as well, because I remember, like, we from this group, not even a different group, we were discussing. And even Chanura, we said Chanura Andhra, and why we were saying Andhra, Chanura is from Andhra. So Chanura Andhra Nishudanaha, so one who slayed the asura Chanura. Okay, moving to the next shloka. It's the 89.
Nishudanaha means
So, slayer. One
slayer.
who killed. Yeah, one who killed. Okay, Sahasrarchihi, Saptajihvaha, Saptaidha, Saptavahanaha, Amurtihi, Anaghaha, Achintyaha, Bhayakrit, Bhayanashanaha. So 9 namas in all. So then Saptaidha, that dha is Mahaprana. Amurtirana Gho is Mahaprana. Bhaya in both the terms at the end, both bhas are Mahapranas. So we'll chant the shloka and we'll move to the meanings. Sahasrachis saptajihva saptaidha saptavahanah amurtiranagho chintyo bhayakrit bhayanashanaha. Does anybody want to chant the shloka 2 times, please?
I can try, Shriji. Sahasrachi saptajihva saptaidha saptavahanaha amurtiranagho chintyo bhayakrut bhayanashanaha. Sahasrachit saptajihva saptaidha saptavahanaha amurtiranagho chintyo bhayakrut bhayanashanaha.
Awesome. Sahasrarchihi. So then we actually have the mantras for each of these for japam, right? For Sahasrarchihi, it is not straightforward, so that's why I wanted to mention it. It is Sahasrarchishe Namaha. Okay. And it is very important. So even when we are performing homas, so before performing homas, there are multiple things that happen, including like the punya havachanam, etc., etc. But there is a process called as Agni Mukham, where you are bringing the Agni, or you're making the fire being born. So for those mantras, the first, we do the Nyasam, Swanganyasa, Karanyasas. So the first Karanyasa mantra for Agnimukham is Sahasratishe Angushtabhyam Namaha or Sahasratishe Hridayaya Namaha. So it's a very important mantra. And why is, what is Sahasrachihi? Archihi means race. Sahasra means infinite or 1000, we know that. He who radiates innumerable rays. is Sahasrachi. Sahasrani Anantani Archinshi Yasya Saha Sahasrachihi. Divisurya Sahasrasya in Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna sees the Vishwarupam of Bhagavan. So he says, as if an infinite suns or 1,000 suns have risen. That's how bright the sight is. And it's a beautiful description as you're going through, like if you're doing an entire Bhagavad Gita Parayanam. As soon as he starts describing what he is saying, it is impossible for, if you are understanding what you're reading, it's impossible for us to just control our emotion and not be able to, like, not cry of joy on what he is saying and visualize what he is saying. So Sahasrarchihi is a nama that's that, and we have also seen, like, many Sahasra in the Purusha Suktam, and we've discussed that. So one who radiates with innumerable rays. If the splendor of 1,000 suns were to rise up in the sky, that's how the Vishwarupam is. Okay, so I won't go into the details of the Homam Agni and how Agni is related to this, etc. So we'll move to the next one, because the reason I bring up Agni here is, though we are describing Bhagavan, the immediate next nama that comes up is Saptajihvaha. And then Saptaidhaha Saptavahana. So they're all connected. Moving to Saptajihvaha 827. He who has 7 tongues of flames. So we did talk about these 7 tongues in the past in various scenarios. I think even in Lalita Sahasranamam it came up. And
I was just thinking about that, Shriji. You had told about that in Lalita Sahasranamam.
Yeah, and even in Vishnu Sahasranamam, this nama is not a repetition, but we did talk about, in some context, and it is in the forum as well. There should be a post on it. So there are 7 tongues in the flames that we create the Vaishwanara and bring the Agni, and the 7 names of those tongues are. And Mundakopanishad also lists this 7 tongue names: Kali, Karali, Manojava, Sulohita, Sudhumravarna, Sphulingini, and Vishwaropi. So the meanings of Kali means, like, the black one, and Karali means the terrific. Manojava means, as we can understand, swift as the mind. Sulohita, the red one. Lohita means red. Sulohita means very, very red. Sudhumra varna, of purple color, or some people say dhumra is gray. So depending on what interpretation you take. Spulingini, one which emits sparks. Vishwarupi, all shaped, all rupas are Bhagavans. So Saptajihva asya saptiti santi iti Saptajihvaha. Agnirupi is what Shankaracharya describes this as, and he lists, he quotes the Mundakopanishad. Kali Karali cha Manojava cha Sulohitaya cha Sudhumravarna Sphulingini Vishwarupi cha Devi Lolayamana iti Saptajihvaha is the Mundakopanishad quote. Okay, moving to the next nama, 828, Saptaidhaha, he that has 7 flames. Sapta edhamsi deeptayoho asya iti Saptaidaha or Agnihi. So, yeah, so there are some quotes here, but there are 7 flames for Agni as well. 829, Sapta Vahanaha, Sapta Ashva Vahanaha Asya, Yaha Asya. So the one who has the 7 horses for his Ratham, and he is Saptavahanaha. And who is that who has 7 horses for on his Ratham? That pull his Ratham?
Surya.
Yeah, Surya Bhagavan. So now they are combining all the illuminating objects. So here the only thing that's probably missing, and I have to see. So we did talk about the Soma Surya Agnis, in Lalita Sahasranamam. So this is listing Bhagavan as the all illuminating, and then how that is in the form of Agni and Surya. And the seven flames, I have to go back and look at why Soma is not listed, or maybe I have to go get a little deeper. I'll come back to you on that. But this is the combination of Bhagavan and Soma, Surya, Agnis, and that help illuminate our lives and nourish us and give us food. So that's first line. And there are names for those horses as well. So, and there are 7 horses to depict the 7 days of the week. And the wheels of the Ratham are 24 spokes, or the wheels have 24 spokes that represent the 24 hours in the day. And that's what is the Dharma Chakram, and that is what is on our flag. Essentially, like lots of connections there. But essentially what in this particular line, Bhishma was trying to bring to us, so that, that sentence that has Bhagwan's illuminating powers and how that is illuminating and nourishing our lives.
There's only one.
What is that, Satiji?
The chariot has only one wheel.
Chariot has one wheel?
Yeah. Sun's chariot has only one wheel.
Oh, I did not know that. I've
Yeah.
always seen, like, even in this Surya Vigrahams that I have seen, I've always seen 2. Oh, can you send us some, if you have any photo or anything like that?
I don't read that there's only one wheel.
Oh. I have not heard that. That is interesting. Yeah, which is known as the Samvatsara, apparently. We'll have to look it up. Probably should be in the Surya Upanishad or something. So I'll find more information. Homework for self. Okay, moving to 830th Nama, Amurtihi, the formless. So I don't think I need to describe a lot. It's describing the Nirguna Brahman. And even the unmanifested Bhagavan. So we'll just leave it at that. Anaghaha, the sinless and painless. So adham or agham dukkham papam cha dvayam asya na vidyata iti anaghaha, an important nama. So even for us to all do the papakshayam as well as the dukkakshayam. So this nama is chanted as the mantra to do japa. Achintyaha, the inconceivable, by any proof being the witness of the knower, etc., or he that cannot be thought of in any particular form, or he is different from this expanded universe. So there are 3 different ways that it can be described on what is inconceivable. But in all the descriptions and all the study that we have been doing, we know no matter how much we describe him, it is still not the accurate description. We can only say, as Vedam always says, Neti, Neti is the only way we can say he is not this, he is not this, is the only way we can think about it, think about him. There is no particular form, no shape, no name that can be given to him and say this is the full description of Bhagavan. So even the maximum that we could think of, or however we can see to perceive him, or the imperceivable, still there is more to him, as Purusha Suktam says, like, the first few lines, that Tripadur Dvaudait Purushaha. So what you're seeing is only 1/4. There is 3/4 more to him. So he is inconceivable. He is beyond our understanding. Then Bhayakrit 833. He that causes fear. Krit. Right? That's the word. To those that follow the path of wickedness, or he dispels fear from the minds of his devotees. Okay. Asan margavartinam bhayam karoti iti bhayakrit, or bhaktanam bhayam krintati iti va bhayakrit. Next nama, Bhayanashanaha. He is the one who creates the fear, and he is the one who destroys the fear as well. So destroyer of the fear of those who adhere to the rules of the orders of life. So Parashara says Purusha Vishnu is worshipped by men who adhere to the rules of all the Varnashrama dharmas. There is no other path to please him. Any thoughts before we move to the next shloka? 90. Okay. Let's look at 90. Anur Bruhat Krishaha Sthulaha Gunabhrit Nirgunaha Mahan. So when in one sentence, they have Bhishmacharya has embedded Mahanarayana Upanishad. The first part of Mahanarayana Upanishad is just phenomenal. If you understand Tamil, Swami Omkarananda has done a lecture series on explaining Mahanarayana Upanishad. If you don't, and he's done phenomenal job. It's like amazing. Sri Omkarananda ji is just great. So listen to that if possible, at least the first part until he finishes. There are 80 sections in Mahanarayana Upanishad. It's a long Upanishad, takes about an hour to chant if you're fully versed with it. But the first section is one of those long sections. It's an amazing Upanishad. It's long, not as long as the Brihadaranyakam or Chandogam, and it is chanted. It is not in the verse form. It's in it's in verse form, not in the prose form. So the first part, Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan, is how it is chanted. It's also called as Narayanam. So if you're having like some auspicious occasion in your family, have some Veda Pandits, ask them to chant Narayanam in your house. So they will chant Mahanarayana Upanishad. So it's a compilation of lots of other suktams, lots of Sandhya Vandana mantras that are embedded in it, Trisuparna mantras that are chanted during having food in in the large gatherings. So those are chanted. The Jnana Prapti mantras, Viraja Homa mantras, which is, at some point we will talk about it in Lalita Sahasram. So all of these, Durga Suktam, Aghamarshana Suktam, which is, Papa Kshayakara Varuna mantra, or, when we are taking shower, we usually chant Aghamarshana Suktam. So lots of these suktams form part of, even Narayana Suktam is part of Mahanarayana Upanishad. So in that, the first line that Mahanarayana Upanishad starts with is Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan. So Nihitam Guhayam, in the within, he's embedded within the Janto or Nihitam Guhayam. So it's a beautiful, amazing Upanishad. I love it. So for the first line, that's what Bhishmacharya is trying to condense that into this one line. Then the next line, Adhritaha, Swadhritaha, Swasyaha, Pragvamshaha, Vamshavardhanaha. So 5 namas in the second line. First line has...
Sorry, this is Poonam. When you're saying Anu Brahmat Krusha, Anu, I thought it's atom. So when you're telling me, I mean, again, I'm sorry to say that, but we were so scientific thousands of years back.
Oh yeah. Even Wikipedia, just look at the distance that was covered, or seconds, the time that the units of time that were covered in Vedam, or distance units. Now we say light years, but they were able to measure the distance in the minutest to even the distance from here to sun, what is the radius of the sun, etc., have been calculated at that time. Right? And this is and even the measurement, when we say we don't have 10 to the power of, I think, -9 is what we had in Vedic period when it comes to the size, and 10 to the power of 9. So about power 18 or 19 is what we were calculating at that time. So they know. So we just forget. And recently, I don't know if you have, I don't follow news and social media as much, but sometimes some things just fall in my ears and I get irritated with it. Recently, there's this discussion that's still probably happening And we are hitting back quite seriously, looks like, including Shashi Tharoor and like.
Oh yes, the civilization, like
Yeah.
Britishers. This is ridiculous.
Fox, yeah,
I
Fox
had
News,
Americans.
Tucker Carlson, and
Oh,
we actually
yes.
are,
Yesterday, some Americans came to our house, and they agreed that this is ridiculous.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we are conservatives, and we do watch Fox News in the house. My husband does. So we do often look at Tucker Carlson. So I was telling my husband, we will never watch him again. Just I don't want to see him on any YouTube channel. Just make sure that you're canceling him. So my son's making fun of me. Mom, you're going into that cancel culture. I said, yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't use their brain, I don't
Exactly. Yes, thank you. And they all agreed, no, you're right. I mean, Indian civilization. And I exactly told them about, about even the anatomy and everything.
I know.
We could do it. I'm sorry, I'm taking time, but
if anybody hasn't heard that conversation, if you don't have context to it, look for Tucker Carlson's comments on India. He says when British left India, they left an entire civilization, public places, churches, blah, 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 and the language that still exists and they still continue to use. Apparently, they left a civilization in India. Anyway, I'm a patriot, so it just gets to my nerves. When I hear things like that, it's just very annoying.
Thank God I didn't listen to it, Sriji. It's like annoying. Like, so he has not read any history or gone back into time to see.
Nor decided to actually do some research before he put something like that in.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Thank God I didn't listen.
Yeah, everybody is just blowing up. There are so many videos that are just trying to hit back on on YouTube. This guy who String Channel Vinod or somebody, he's done a video. There are lots of people who are hitting back. Does he even know what he's talking about? So that's just ridiculous. I was very pissed off listening to something like
Sriji,
that.
who is this Sriji? Sorry, I didn't get the name. What is this about?
Tucker Carlson. He's a Fox News journalist.
Okay.
And he runs a show, Tucker Carlson show or something in Fox News. So look him up. Not look him up. He's an idiot, but look up what he was saying and how it should, how it should just boil our blood when he says they left a civilization in India. Apparently, I'm like, you have no idea what we have lost because of those idiots. Anyway,
exactly. Yeah.
Oof. Now we are trying
Actually,
to recover.
I was just thinking when you were telling, when we are showering, we pray and so many things. We have lost so many mantras. Our whole culture has changed, our identity. Don't mistake me. I love the modernization. Okay, we have the technology, everything. But in the name of that, we have lost so many things.
Exactly.
Our culture, literally, we have to preserve it.
And that's what drives me. I have goosebumps right now, just thinking how can we support and gain the knowledge so we can. They burned libraries, they did all of this, and still we say Vasudhaiva Kutumbam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Every day I chant that, and everybody not just me. That is what we do. We pray for everybody, even those who are not believers, and it doesn't really matter. Go kill anybody who doesn't believe kafir, blah blah blah. But we are praying for them. So that's the kind of culture that we need. And who said this? Mark Twain, somebody who said we need that dharma. That is what will protect the entire universe at this time. So people who are shooting at themselves and who are trying to destroy Earth and trying to just increase their numbers by more population. You're going to hit 9 billion people very soon. So I know when it hit 6 billion. So and they just want numbers. So anyway, so we'll stick to my goal is whatever I can do to protect, preserve. That's what I'm going to do. And I don't know, I don't think I've updated everybody on this group. A few people I did update that I quit my job, my full-time job. I'll be starting something on my own and just more consulting and things like that. I really don't need to worry about working. So I'm dedicating myself not just for my sadhana, which is the more important thing for me, but at the same time to protect dharma. So I'll be working on my foundation more prominently. And in order to be able to do that, I think the cradle that I would like to be in would be Mother India. So we'll be moving to India soon, I don't know when it is, whenever Mother allows us to. So thankfully I've got support from both my boys. My husband agreed, so he's coming with me as well. So I'm excited to what I'm looking forward to over the next few years. I need to first settle well, in a sense of like find a place, etc., etc. So I'm working on those things at this point, but I'll be working primarily on how can I help protect. So not fight and be part of the politics that's happening out there and all the crazy stuff, but just purely focus on how can I ensure that this knowledge is protected and passed on to the next generations. Anyway, I took up a lot of time on that, sorry.
Sriji, where are you moving to?
Currently, we are thinking, and we expressed an interest in for a property in Bangalore. So
Okay.
hopefully, our first choice was Thiruvananthapuram, but we were a little scared of all the communism and socialism.
Don't blame you.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like not speaking the language would just we'll be outsiders all the time. So it's not.
Probably that might be an advantage.
That was our first choice. I did, communicate with a few of you to ask, if that was the right choice.
Yeah.
And we were looking at Coimbatore as a second, because it is like closer to my Anekatti is where Arshavidya Gurukulam is. So it's close to me for that, as well as to Isha Sadguru's ashram. So we're looking at a very nice green place there, and there is a Subramanya Koval, very pretty beautiful Koval on a little hill. So that's what we were looking at. Then we looked at Indore, because Indore would have like the Ujjain and Mahakal and a Jyotirling and a Shakti Pitam. That's something that we're looking at. It's a little hot. Then of course we still have Rishikesh or Haridwar as one of our our places where we would be during summer. I'll be doing my sadhana in the Himalayas. That's my hope, and on the shores of Ganga. And Bangalore is suddenly happened, thanks to one of you. So that was also not in the plans, and it just happened. So let's see if that actually happens, and we'll settle in Bangalore. And from that's where we would start I'd be starting mostly and I'd be heavily focused on the foundation, while my husband will be taking care of the operations of my personal consultation and his consultation and things like that.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Keep that Rishikesh, Sriji. Keep that in your portfolio, surely.
Yeah.
And Sriji, in Indore, if you ever need anything, let me know.
Okay.
I have my, thank you.
One of my my cousins lives there as well. My brother, my Periappa's son. So they always invited us to come and visit the Shaktipeetham, but I've never had a chance to do that. So I'm hoping there are so many kshetrams that I haven't done darshanam of. We've been out of the country for more than 22 plus years now. So looking forward to a lot from next year. So whenever that may be. Okay, it's 9:45. We will conclude with that and we'll come back to this verse. I wish I had a little more time to explain a bit about Mahanarayana Upanishad. I'll try to condense and bring the condensed version for next week. It's a large Upanishad. It just takes its own study to do that. But we will just do the first part, and I'll try to bring key points from the first part of the Upanishad to our conversation for this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sriji.
Yeah, we'll conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sarvam Sriman Narayana Charanaravindarpanastu. Thank you so much for your time.
Dhanyavadaha, Sriji.
ధన్యవాదాలు.
Thank you, Shriji.
Shriji.
Thank you.
ధన్యవాదాः.
నమస్కారం.